إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين ونستغفره. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، فإن كل محدثات بدعة، كل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار، وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. Greet you all with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and the blessing of Almighty Allah be with you all. I'd like to welcome you all for continuation of our series concerning raising Muslim family. Our segment today is segment number 16, inshallah. And we're talking about a different form of tarbiyah, discipline, training, direction, guidance, التربية الجنسية. How we can approach our children about sexual appetite. What kind of rules, what kind of regulation, what we can talk to them about, what we can prevent them from, what we can encourage them to do. This is something that we have to understand. There is this appetite, like same way like you get hungry and you get thirsty. It's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it in us. And in certain ages, the children start to feel this thing inside themselves. Your hormones, your body change, your thinking. So it's something you don't have control over it to say, I can have it or I don't have it. So the same thing like the child in the early age, he comes about, he want to drink, he want to eat, okay? Also, it will come at times that he or she desire the opposite sex. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it to be this way. For we can multiply, so we can be generation after generation. And we understand that our purpose in this life, that to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this Islam to reach to everyone that comes to this life. So Islam also had give direction, and how we can deal with this appetite. Same way like we say you could not eat khanzir, you could not eat swine, you could not drink wine, you could not eat swine, you could not eat something that is harmful for you, but you can eat from the halal and make a good income and things like this. So the same thing will apply to your sexual appetite. What kind of limitation Islam gives to us? What we can, what we could not, what we can talk about with our children, about what we could not. Is related also about the private parts, about multiplication of children or having children, desiring the opposite sex, okay? So is related to more than one thing. How we can guide this as parents, what we can talk to our children about, what we could not talk about, what we need to tell them, and when and where, and all these things. As a house, the way how we talk in the house, regardless we serious or that we are joking with each other or whatever it is, we have to clean our talk from anything that related to this. This is not something to be talking about openly. We don't talk or curse in words related to these things also, okay? So the parents have to understand they themselves, they don't talk about these things openly, publicly in front of boys and girls, okay? Neither they attempt to, when they get angry, to say words related to private parts, as example, okay? We need to direct our children, boys and girls, in something from early age that can occupy their time, especially when they start approaching this age after 10 and about 12 years old. You have to have certain programs, physical fitness, cooking, cleaning, ironing, drawing, sewing. Get them involved because they have a lot of energy. So if we give them other hobby and other training, it will take their mind from thinking about these things, okay? Especially when they have a break from the school, especially when their parents are not in the house. So now you give them from an early age is something that they need to develop about fixing computer, as example, fixing things in the house, drawing picture for mother nature or trees, field, water, raining, things like this. You may even get them some bits or some chicken, small farm behind the house, and how they clean their area and how they pick up the eggs after the chicken. And so something that will occupy their leisure time. It is very important that we teach the children from early age that mommy and daddy's room, if the door is closed, you don't bust in without knocking, without seeking permission. It's not only dad and mom. If we have boys and girls and there is two girls and one boy or two boys and one girl, so none of them enter each other room without knocking and seeking permission to get in case, as example, their brother is changing clothes or their sister, you understand, changing her clothes, or they sitting in a mannerism that is not supposed to be sitting, okay? So seeking permission, entering parents' room, especially parents' rooms, or their brothers or sisters, it have to be after a permission and informing them. We have to, as parents, to avoid any kind of gesture or things related to sexuality, okay? Like in hugging, kissing, this between mom and dad in France, not to display these things in front of the children, okay? There is a difference between a husband coming back from a journey and everybody giving a hug, and that the father felt, you understand, desire towards his wife, and now he holding her hand, and after this is touching her body, and the kids is sitting in the living room. This is not supposed to be there, because now you opening their mind towards things like this and rousing their curiosity and their sexuality. It is very important that we let the children know that certain age that you have to be covered and that there is limitation in what you can expose or not. So when we approaching the age 10 and 11, 12 years old, we approaching a age of puberty, they need to have to understand, like as example, the boys, they have nothing over their knees, as example, or that whatever they're wearing, that it doesn't show their private part as in a shape or in a color or any form. And the girls that covering themselves properly, girls are not supposed to be wearing shorts, even inside the house, because her private parts is not only what you call major, okay, but she are not supposed to show in front of her brothers more than her arms, okay, not to show anything, you understand, from her breast, as example, or anything over her knees, okay. These things have to be covered in front of the father and the brothers and the sons from the mothers, okay. So we have to train them that these things, these parts of the body have to be covered, even if you are in the house, even if we don't have any friends or relatives in the house, okay? We need to implant in them things about lone gaze, not to be staring at each other, you understand, in a lusty way. That, and if somebody saw his sister, okay, thigh, as example, by accident or anything like this, that they have to turn their face right away and lower their gaze. The same thing about the girls to the boys. So lowering the gaze is something have to be introduced to them when they reach in this age. When they changing their clothes, they need to go to the bathroom or they go to their private room, not to be changing things, okay, in the living room and others will see, even girls to girls, okay. We need to learn or teach our children that there is parts in the body not to be touched by anybody except emergency or you go to the doctor or things like this. But nobody, that relatives or non-relatives, to touch certain parts of the body, okay? Of course, the private parts, but the private parts, there is a major private parts and there is a minor private parts, if we can use this term, okay? So, as example, that not touching the thigh of her sister, okay? Not from a girl to a girl or a boy to a girl, okay? They don't do these things. So they have to understand not to allow anybody in the house or out of the house, relatives or visitors, school or in the street, to touch their body, okay? I'm not talking about the hands, the arms, and the legs and things like this, to be touching in places that we consider it Islamically the private parts, okay? There is certain places in bathrooms, as example, designed for boys and for one for girls. There is a cabinet, you understand, for changing clothes when they have sports, okay? Uh, for boys, and the other one supposed to be for girls, that they don't enter these places, okay? To avoid even to be close by this area. Uh, if you have some people working in your house, like a maid or something like this, or that a driver for the family, okay? Privacy, especially when reach a certain age, like I say 12 and going up, the privacy not to be exist between those worker or those people who live and sleep in our house to assist us in the house chore, that not to be any privacy between male and female. So if the person is a male, okay, he could not be in the house with a girl alone. That is not related. This is not a mahram for them. Okay. We need to train our children from an early age, especially girls, when they about to reach their puberty, that they have to have a loose clothes and a proper cover from head to toe, with exception of the face and the hands. All right? That maybe a girl did not reach the age of puberty, but her body grown, look like a grown woman. All right? So we have to encourage her to be covered when she go outside in the public. It's very important that the parents to make sure the house is clean from magazines with naked pictures or half naked pictures, movies, things you understand that have interaction or teaching directly or indirectly a relationship between the opposite sex. Also stories, reading books, novelty and things like this, which has part of talking about sexuality, that we have to keep our children totally away from these things. We have to keep our children away from places that usually nakedness is there. Beaches, swimming pool, public swimming pool, okay? Uh, Mixing, touching, things like this. It's very important we give them education about the seriousness of disease that comes as a result of sexual desires, okay, or intimate relation with people that we don't know and we are not married to them. That people, because they commit adultery and fornication, there is many illness and serious sickness can happen as a result of this. Even in public school, we have to submit some kind of a letter from Islamic Center or a masjid to the school to let them know that they are your children are Muslims. They are not, you don't want them to attend this kind of classes. That this is not supposed to be happening or introducing to the children. In most cases, in general, what what you call sex education, they call it education, okay? You don't need too much education about it, something natural in you. But what is this sexual education? Basically, how you can fornicate, adultery, and do all haram things, okay, without getting sick or pregnant. This is the bottom line, okay? He gives them the desires. There is nothing wrong with it, that you understand, but you have to make sure that you wear something, that you understand that you don't do this like that or that, you don't get pregnant, and these things is haram in our deen, okay? To such a degree, even the looks is haram. كل المؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم. That Allah is saying, tells the believer, male and female, to lose their gaze. We don't look, okay? We don't sit down in a desk, okay? Boy and girls together. We can request this also in the school, okay? We don't have co-ed or whatever you call it in sports, and anything, you understand, will expose and open the mind of our children to increase these desires in them. We have to boycott it in totality. To remind them and read to them the surah, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, and the temptations that he went through it, and how he chose, you understand, to be a distant from such a thing. Even to go to jail would be better for him. We need to prepare our children to age of puberty, about changing happening in their body and things that they will see in themselves, about to understand growing different parts of their body in a different way, seeing blood, seeing semen, seeing fluid, different thing, what it is, and what is the proper hygiene, about cleaning themselves, shaving private parts, about the bleeding period. And of course, the father have to play a big role in this, and the mother, and will be the father for the boys, the sons, and the mother to be talking to her daughter. If we found that our children ready for marriage, and even if they still in school, it's better to make them get married and they can live in your house, okay, until they can finish their education. But we are not going to open a room for them because they desiring that they go and fornicate. Otherwise, if there is no means and ways to fulfill these desires, and you see that they're going to go astray, we need to teach them about the halal and the haram of this issue, and how these things is not good in their life, for their health, for the hereafter with Allah. We train them about fasting, okay? And this was the Prophet ﷺ had prescribed for those who doesn't have the means to get married, okay? They can fast every Monday and Thursday. They can fast every other day. Fasting is healthy for them, it's not going to hurt them, but this will lower the desire, and they will have ability to control themselves. They have to know about how they clean themselves after certain things, like what is a wet dream is, what is a menses is, how they're going to clean themselves from it, what they see, what they could not see, what they do with it, how they provide their clothes, how they get back to the salah, things like this. All these things is a big part of our life and is a big part of education. The parents have to carry it with their children. Checking the people that our children spend their leisure time with them. That is not a matter of having the same sex only sports or whatever it is, where they go with them, what they talk about it. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and we have to know what kind of company, because there is a statement that say as-sahib sahib. As-sahib sahib. Your friend is going to lead you to what they about. So let's do our best from an early time about watching our nakedness, what we expose, what we don't expose, how we talk about things in the house. These things is not to be talked about it in public, okay, in an open form in front of the boys and the girls. This is something to be a private education, the father to the sons and the mother to the girls. And still there is something called haya, to be bashful and to be shy. The things not to be talked about it in public. We do not sit and watch things in the movies, okay? Something normal, okay? Here this man hugging this woman and his hand all the way down in her, what, okay? Like we see in the streets, okay? We don't even have them. So we have to educate our children about lower our gaze, seeking Allah's forgiveness, staying away from these people, and very important, the hijab. This education of hijab, because we have most of the girls nowadays, they're wearing tight jeans, okay? You can see the shape of their body, top and bottom, everything, as if hijab is only to cover the color of their skin. This totally is wrong. This totally is wrong. Hijab supposed to cover your skin color and cover your shape and your size of the body. So most of the hijab that we see nowadays is not a hijab. You could not even pray with it. You are not supposed to go to the masjid with it. You are not supposed to sit in front of your brother or your sister with it. So the hijab is play a big role in this subject. So inshallah, with some of these advices can be helpful for you as a parents. And also you have to be always try to manage to see what is there, what is need to talk about. And again, we try to avoid embarrassment when we try to make correction with our children, especially about things like this. This is the best I can tell you for today. Hopefully, inshallah, some of these points can be helpful for you. And if anybody, inshallah, thinks that I said something wrong today in Quran or from Hadith or anything like this, feel free that you can correct me on the spot. The fasting is not only applied to the boys, okay? The women or the girls also, we can train them about, because the fasting is it lower your sexuality desire, okay? Occupy them with some projects, occupy them with memorization of the Quran. All these things will take a lot from their leisure time or their times that they don't know what to do with themselves, okay? And we always turn to Allah in dua that He protect our children. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما. Oh Allah, as it came in the Quran, oh Allah, grant us for our children and our spouses, okay, a coolness for our eyes, and make us a good example for the believers. Ameen. آخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you for watching and looking forward to see you again tomorrow inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك and Allah knows best.